Just you need some gas on.
I was only 16.
Fernando spaz on this motherfucker.
How's it going, everybody? It's Matt Tomorrow here. I want to thank you for coming to our channel. Today, I want to talk about and I had to break this down between like two, well, not really two generations of people, but my two nephews and how come they don't need the red pill. They don't need it at all. But upon talking to them, they were trying to tell one story and I was trying to tell another story. Like, in some kind of how we kind of met in the middle. Because when you don't have a voice and you're not really heard, people think that their actual vantage point and point of view is actually where one should start a story. But I had to take the story back from his vantage point and my vantage point from to start off how this thing actually started. Um, like he was born like I was in my 12th grade year, so I was trying to get up out of there. So when he was born, my brother went, they left town like a year later and then they went up north. But then again, it had to start even further back than that when he first met this girl. I didn't know that this girl was way older than my brother. I had no idea about that. Because I didn't ask, I didn't care. I was gone. I was never dealing with any of these people. I never wanted to touch any of these people. I was out of there. So it just started that, because she was even older than I was. I was 2 years older than he was. So she was trying to get herself a dude that she couldn't qualify for, even then. But see, he didn't know any better because the crowds that he was hanging out with, those people kind of pride themselves on the things that people in the manosphere pride themselves on. Access to women, game, run around with gangs, all this stupid street shit and all that kind of shit. So I already learned my lesson before. I learned my lesson quite earlier, like when I joined the gang when I was in like the 7th grade. And, it wasn't like things didn't work right. I'm like, if these people are our enemies, then we got to go handle business. We have guns, we got numbers. What are we waiting on? Then, I just saw these people just standing around. I'm like, these people are enemies. How come we can't go out? So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to start the ball. I'll go over there and hit somebody in the mouth. And I'll start fighting or what? Yeah, they'll jump in and do all that other stuff. But it really wasn't about that. It was about getting access to girls on the other side of town. That's why these dudes joined the gang in the first place. And that's what this stuff was always about. Finding your masculinity and manhood through accessing the actual black, rite of passage is naming yourself an uncultured woman within a specific type of environment. And that's when I figured it out. I left the gang. Strong no shots. And that's when I left the gang. I left all that stuff alone. And those people never really changed. And then my little brother, still hung out with some of those people. I didn't want to hang out with those people. I didn't know what I wanted. I was a young dude. I just thought that I was going to be in that neighborhood forever. But once you start talking to coaches and stuff, once you get to high school, then you start to put two and two together. The two and two together that you start to put together is, wait a minute. Why all these college-educated people who would leave rural Mississippi, who would go to Mississippi Valley, Ole Miss, Jackson State, Mississippi State, Grambling, Howard, all this kind of stuff, why would they graduate and come back here and work at grocery stores? Why would they come back here to work at Sonic, McDonald's, Walmart, Fred's? It's like a Southern store, kind of like your Family Dollar, but horrifically managed. Piggly Wiggly, Sunflower, General Dollar Tree. Like, wait a minute. Working at the mall, bullshit shop stores, TJ Maxx, all that kind. Wait a minute. If all these college-educated people are graduating from college and they ended up right back at the starting point, who actually left and made their life better? And the answer was really, those people who made their life better, they didn't come back. So we go back to my younger nephew. So I'm painting them a story about 20 years before they were born, the actual track record of people who left and came back, and the people who actually came back and stayed. So these were never bad people. They just stayed in bad circumstances far too long, and it became part of their character of dealing with certain things within an environment itself. These people weren't bad people. They were just around bad stuff. They didn't have the opportunity or chance to witness a different life because they thought that they was going to be able to come back and actually do something else within the same environment. The only thing they did was they was doing what the other people had did who was a little bit older. So then, they're born. So I'm like, okay, you're born. Because when he graduated high school, I was actually coming back from my 20th year class reunion. So I was like, so when you were graduating high school at the 20th reunion, this stuff it made sense. But still, he was trying to tell me about his mother and the way. I'm like, I get all that. I seen all that. I seen it from my older brothers. I seen it from dudes who were married. I seen it from all those people. And you know what else I saw? The same circle and track record. The same level, peaks, and like if you were to look at this stuff on a line graph and a bar graph, you'd be able to see that this stuff didn't work. They didn't move on to better people. They became better people, and then they turned around and gave themselves to the same people that was in the same environment. And those people never experienced anything better either. All thing they had to do was just wait on a better man to show up and get them out of their circumstances temporarily They used that guy for everything that they possibly could, and then they would move on. So I'm like, look, this is what happened before you got here. These are the things that was happening while you were growing up. Because then, like, the older one showed me one of them Ron Wills videos, and that's when I started going after that dude. Because when you say this shit online, you get in the hands, and I remember that my brother would be a guy who would be susceptible to that type of shit, who thinking that netting him an older fucking woman was gonna make him a man, when the only older woman wanted to do was net herself a younger dude that she would never qualify for in her own time range. But because of the crowd that he was hanging around, it was kind of hard to reach him at the time. So it's like, damn, this shit's happening all over again, man. Just with his son. Same shit that he went through, he about to go through the same shit. So, he was leaning toward dropping out of school. This is the much older one. All this kind of stuff. Because he didn't understand it. He understood the life he lived. He understood not really being able to actually see his dad. He didn't understand the ramifications of why he couldn't see his dad. He was able to see me in town because his aunt works at the hotel that I always stay at when I always go there. I always stay at the same hotel. Every time I go, I always stay at the same hotel. And she would always call her, and all of a sudden the kids are at the goddamn hotel room. And she's trying to get me for the shakedown for money right in front of her kids because she ain't give a fuck about that. But these are the type of things that kids see. So as long as uncultured women is not your end goal, you don't need no fucking red pill, man. You don't need it. The only thing you need is the fucking black pill at this point. Because the actual people who lived the life were the kids. The adults didn't live that life. The adults only got a portion of the story because they didn't have custody of the kids in most cases. So the kids actually grew up with a better understanding of how this shit works. Just so long as the uncultured woman ain't his end goal, given the upbringing that he had. They got a better understanding of this shit early. So now, those kids don't even need the red pill like that. The only thing they need is access to opportunities. Like him, graduated 2020. Oh, black too. I forgot 99. 72 chat like course. So all right, so he graduated 2020. I let him know that being productive is way more important than trying to net a woman's actual opinion. Change his whole trajectory. Thing. He was immediately able to get his stuff together. This without going to college. He got a job at Budweiser, making great money, especially for the area. And then, like, once he got a job, his mother would be trying to shake him down for his check, trying to make him feel messed up in some kind of way because he was making more money than she was. And she was a nurse. But he had to work shift work to get that money because, it's kind of hard to tell people, especially in that area, they're working overnight to make extra money. Like, most people won't even take the job, period. So within like 6 months, he was able to move out. Moved out, got him a truck, chilling, saved his money, bought him a boat down there on the Mississippi River every other day as soon as he gets off, and chilling. Left. I told him, man, look, your little brother's gonna be all right. I'm gonna talk to him. You know how I talk to him? Xbox Live. No way I was going down to the city to meet them. I wasn't even doing that type of shit. I would never do that type of shit. So these people just wanted the holes filled in. Like once they got the story together and they knew to leave this shit alone, they were fine. Found them another person, a woman who was raised in similar circumstances, and she wanted to go so counter to that type of shit that she was raised in that they found each other within that environment, and then they just decided to leave that shit alone together. And they've been together ever since. Because neither one of them wanted to end up in a circumstance that, because both of those had two similar things. And even when I went to his graduation, in that graduation class, it was probably about 115 people. There was probably 6 people out of 115 people who had two-parent households that they know of, who had a mother, father, who actually lived with the mother and father in one house. No shared custody, no none of that. So most of these kids who grow up in this environment here, they don't know anything about male-female dynamic or how to operate within a household together as a team because they wasn't raised under no shit like that. They wasn't raised under anything like that. There wasn't. This is for the old. So for the younger one, he just graduated, Friday of last week. And I went there for the actual rehearsal. I didn't tell him I was in town because I was in town for my 25th class. I went in there. There was not a single man in that building, except for the police officers who was going through the actual. Because they have a ton of police on hand. Because it's one of those situations to where there has to be a ton of police on hand because custody issues and disputes and all that kind of stuff, and it spills out in the graduation because people show up to situations that they know they're not supposed to be in because of their mother or father, and it just becomes a big ass mess. So that way you have a gang of police in there. I was the only man in there, and there was like, so who you in here for? I'm like, yeah, I'm here for my nephew. That was like, uncles care about kids now? And the dude just said that stuff just out of spite. I couldn't believe it. Uncles care about kids now. Wow. Like, you mean to tell me that nobody shows up to the actual rehearsal? Because the only thing that was in there was women, and women was trying to find out who I was. A couple people thought I was the keynote speaker because of the way I was dressed. I'm like, no, I'm not the keynote speaker. And that's how come they didn't ask me exactly who I was the entire time because they thought I was the keynote speaker for the actual graduation. I'm like, no, I'm not keynote speaker for the graduation. Then, the mayor walk in. I'm talking to the mayor because, we went to school at the same time. So they thought that, oh, yeah, this dude's cool. I'm like, nah, man, that's what's going on, man. It's like, there was no dudes in there. And it was shocking to me that there was just no dudes around because they created these situations deliberately for men not to be in a circumstance. What you saw there is you saw exactly the same thing I saw when I was there, and when I came from the class reunion. New relationship, new child. New relationship, new child. New relationship, new child. That's how that shit goes. New relationship, new child. Most of the older women right now who came to our class reunion stuff wasn't even. Oh, in that class, I think it was like 100. It was slightly over 100. I think like it was like 103, but like 97 showed up. Not sure what the other 4 people was. But yeah, it's about 90 something. But you're just looking at this stuff. It's like these people want to know what the story was, and they're going to come to you with the story. They're actually trying. they've been through a level of trauma and experience and inexperience with male and female dynamic and relationships. So they're forming better bonds earlier with people. And they're not going to try to net themselves any of these uncultured women and chase them and shit. They're not doing that. Strong social growth. Yeah, they're not doing that down there, man. They're not doing that. And I mean, the bitch ass niggas, man. They got the bitch ass nigga uniform on. White tee, white hat, sagging skinny jeans, dreads. Everybody got the same shit. No originality. They all look the same. Then you go through these neighborhoods and shit. You see older bitch ass niggas with the same motherfucking shit on. Except for they're not white and they're not black. It's the same bitch ass nigga uniform. They got all red shoes, all red jumpsuit. They're not wearing no bandana, but they got a red hat to the left, blue hat to the right, blue shoes, blue everything, all that shit. And even those guys know that this shit's over. The culture's fucking dead. There's nobody down in those neighborhoods that are actually even on that shit anymore. Why? I went to my homeboy's place. There's Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, and gangsters hanging around in the same place. Everybody chilling. Why? The culture's dead. They're the only motherfucking representatives of that shit that's left. Roosevelt, thanks for the $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Yeah, like, dude, this culture is fucking dead, man. And the only people that are left holding up this dead fucking culture are all the people who are stuck holding the bag for the culture. Everybody with the same bitch ass nigga uniform on. All of them. Red, white, blue, and black. That's what you see. Same bitch ass nigga uniform. You know how Zero be sounding and shit? Them niggas sound just like that. It's not a game, not a joke. It's exactly what the fuck it is. But there's no usable children to keep that culture going, though. There's no usable children left for that shit. They already know because their uncles and their older cousins are still locked the fuck up. Once they start giving motherfuckers 30 and 40 fucking years, like the dudes who are just now getting out, these people got locked up in the early to late 90s. That's when they really start giving out time. So all those people haven't even cycled back into the environment with them short ass sentences. They haven't done that shit. Most of those people are still serving time at Parchment right now. So what you got to understand is the saturation of consequences have made the red pill obsolete. It's the saturation of fucking consequences that is nearly 100% in the Mississippi Delta. 100%. 100%. No fucking jobs. If you can't leave the city, then you're going to pick up drugs and your ass is going to be out of there soon. Because dudes down there be snitching like a motherfucker. If you got any sense, you get your ass out of there really soon. But the only thing these people need right now is access to job training. And that's why I was there in town to talk to the mayor about putting a CDL school down there. But they had other plans and shit, and I could just leave. I could take my shit to some other area where you can actually deal with people. But you have to realize that being a purple pill guy, man, right now, you still a fucking clown, bro. Like you still know what the consequences are here, and you still want to play this shit. Like, listen, man, you can do whatever you want to, but I'm just saying, The younger kids are not doing this shit. They're not. They're not trying to grow up to look up to fucking gang members and shit. They're not doing that shit. That shit haven't washed over the culture. I mean, the culture, the consequences are too firm right now. Way too firm. And I'm not saying that these people are going to be way the hell better off than anybody else. I'm just saying that there's not enough usable youth to create an actual prison class of people that's going to wash back into the environment. Like like me, I grew up in the 80s and 90s before I left in the 90s. So you have people who got locked up in the 80s who just kept recycling back into the environment and shit, getting other motherfuckers locked up and hooked on this bullshit. Like, no, once they start giving these people longer and longer prison sentence terms, there were less and less of these people around to wash back into the environment, and far more less people around to pick this bullshit up. So those people just aged out because then there was a level of this shit wasn't really the case. Then it became a level of market saturation. We talk about 92 to like at least 99. And then like after that, there was a precipitous drop off, maybe to like 2010. And now this shit just totally dead. And the dudes who was harder representing that shit, they're now in their 40s to 50s right now. Got to be anywhere from like 37 to like probably 50 right now. But this is where we are. You're not gonna be able to sell this shit to too many people. Like the market for job training and the shit that people need is way too big, man. You're not gonna be able to sell this shit to too many people. I mean, you're gonna be able to sell this shit to broken people who don't know their worth, who grew up in these type of circumstances with no type of men around, so they end up in the hands of the men that their actual mother respect and shit, like that type of shit. That's how they end up being, the bitch ass niggas of tomorrow, like that type of shit. Cause now you got the dudes in the skinny jeans and the fucking educated dudes getting laid now. Like the women don't have that kind of sole control over it when it comes to those type of dumbass dudes that they use to build their fortress in the first place. Like they don't need dumbass dudes like that anymore. They need productive dudes to like, what I'm saying, to land the ship. They don't need a whole bunch of bitch ass niggas like they used to. Now those corporate women, those 30s to 40s women who got them fucking, affirmative action jobs and shit, that's different. Those women do actually want to be with younger fucking dudes because those are the only dudes that's gonna take them seriously. Because they still controlled by, the allure and the opinion of the box and shit. But a lot of these dudes live too hard of a life way too early to end up in the same circumstances that these 30 to 50-year-old dudes need. Like the 30 to 50-year-old dudes needed the red pill as verification of the shit that was happening. And then they turned around and they tried to be greater blue pill dudes and purple pill clowns over the shit. When you was just supposed to be black pill, that's what the shit was. They decided to betray the actual information. The information was true beyond a reasonable doubt. Those dudes actually wanted to rush in and try to find a way to make this shit work and go back into the Matrix. Dude, there was a whole bunch of ciphers that entered this entire space that wanted to do that. There's a whole bunch of people now that are following illegitimate and ineffectual masculine role models that we've already seen that don't matter. And it isn't a black thing by itself. You got the same shit on the white side with these fucking lifestyle motherfuckers doing the same shit that the game motherfuckers are doing over here. Same shit. You got dudes having 3s out of 10s, bragging on this track record that they with women that were 9s and 10s and shit, but they couldn't net anything higher than a fucking 4 or 5. It's the same shit. The information is too widespread known that these motherfuckers are lying about this shit. The only thing they're trying to do is prey on people who are not actually properly informed with the entire track record of leadership alone. And that's what the race is right now. It's a race to the bottom. We're trying to let people know about the track record while they're trying to feed as many people into the women's hands as unreasonably possible. And here's the thing. The women don't need that type of help. The women don't need that type of help. They're already inundated with so many options and choices. They don't need these people's help like that. They don't need their help like that. They just volunteered themselves to be doing pro bono work on the behalf of this construct. But those women don't need the help of trying to teach men to be bitch ass motherfuckers. Like they don't need that. They're already inundated with too much choice already. And if you couldn't properly handle choice before, what makes you think that they're going to be able to handle even more choice in the future, given that nothing has really changed in them? And this is what I'm saying. The saturation and the obsolete of the red pill, it's coming. It's going to be less than 2 or 3 years. You're not going to have 50-year-old dudes trying to make a living off trying to tell 20 and 30-year-old men to stay away from uncultured fucking women. This shit is coming to an end. Like I said, it's too much shit going on here. The consequences are too great. This shit is too public. We're now interconnected. Now we all know that everybody everywhere was running the same system because they got away with it. And you need a level of people to value these people inside this environment here in order to keep this construct going. But if the information is too widespread, there's no way that this thing's going to be able to survive under its own weight. And it's going to collapse like you see right now. Like you see those dudes who are in those bitch ass nigga uniforms with the matching red and blue shit. Like, yeah, man, you wasted your whole life being a vice lord, man. It's embarrassing as shit. Red candy paint car, rims and all that shit. Like, dude, don't nobody give a fuck about that shit no more, man. You wasted your whole life on that shit, man. Sad. No, you see these dudes, they gave their whole life to this shit, man. Whole life. We're talking about dudes who lived on the other side of town, had a decent upbringing, came over to sell dope for sport, came from a good ass family. They had no reason to be a part of this shit. Why? They wanted to appeal to the lowest common denominator, and they thought that they had so much in common with these motherfuckers until they snitched on your ass and took your ass to jail. That's what I'm saying. This shit's coming, man. You ain't gonna be this fake ass street dude online, man. You ain't gonna be this uninformed piece of shit talking shit out the side of your mouth. Like, dude, the shit is going to be obsolete, man. No, you're gonna get eyeballs because the level of failure is very high. So, of course, you're supposed to get more eyeballs. There's more failures here than there are success stories. We all know that. But people want to attach themselves to the failed state of what's actually going on here so that way they can be that type of success. So now the new level of productivity is fucking eyeball. Now outcomes, not representative career fields, not all that shit. So now you got has-been judges, has-been ex-NBA motherfuckers who never fucking went to college and shit, but claiming that sorority shit and never really fucking did shit, but just put on suits and shit. Like, dude, bro, you ain't gonna be able to get away with that shit, man. You're not gonna wait for your next AMC chance to come along, man. You're not gonna wait for your next, Dogecoin, Ripple, all iron. You're not gonna be able to do any of that shit. You're going to have to be able to follow a specific process. This breaks down simply around the level of not following a specific process to success and the consequences that you're going to personally face by not doing so. A lot of these people's kids graduating from high school are on the same level as some of these 30 and 40 and maybe even 50 and 60-year-old dudes. They're already better than them. Why? They don't have the experience, and they don't actually need it either to see the difference. Because see, the actual standard that was here was actually, we're going to keep this shit silent and quiet, and you're only going to find out after you mess your stuff up. That's when you're going to find out how bad it is, after you actually mess your stuff up. Now, they live the mess your stuff up life because their parents are the mess your stuff up generation. So the only people that they can go out there is people who really don't have any experience at all, which is the quote unquote incels, which I think is in a good position to be productive. The only thing they got to do is just not give it away to the wrong people. That's how both of my nephews are making it right now. They're being minimally productive within the environment, keeping all their shit, and they ain't got to worry about child support court or any of that other shit. And they're able to keep all their money. The only thing they got to do is pay rent, and that's it. Chill out. But now you have a lot of men right now getting off their first 20 or 21 or 23 years of child support from the kid that they never should have had. They're now coming out here trying to experiment in life as if they was in their 20s. The only thing now is that they're in their 30s and 40s, mostly 40 to like damn near 50. This is the shit. Those kids are not going to be walking up this mountain, man. The dudes who are up there got two choices. You either stay your ass up there and continue to act like you're winning, or street pizza. Those are the only two options. You're going to take that leap off that motherfucker and hit the concrete, or you're just going to be on top of that mountain. These kids need the actual job training. And when I came down there with the job training idea, you know who was first in line trying to jump ahead of the goddamn kids? It was all these ain't shit motherfucking dudes. They didn't want the kids to be getting on and getting live before them. They didn't want that shit. They was like, finally, our time has arrived. Fuck these kids. I'm like, but you put these motherfuckers here. Remember? You got all the ass, remember? Remember that? So everybody want to be responsible for getting this shit, but don't nobody want to be responsible for the current status at hand. I'm just saying that, look, if you want a better outcome, this is how you check and see if they want a better outcome. Ask them this one singular question. Would you want to see a better outcome and you not personally benefit personally? Would you want to see a better outcome? No, it's not too late to get a CDL, man. What are you talking about, man? This field's going to be here for the next 500 years. Unless these companies get their own private fucking Magneto, shit don't still need to move in this country, man. Don't let these motherfucking automated cars get your ass not fucking being able to come out here and make this money, man. Nah, man, this shit gonna be here forever. You'll know because a lot of these companies will start. I mean, dude, we can't even get cell phone service everywhere. You think they're gonna have trucks like that all over the country? Come on, man. Nah, bro. So yeah, so this is where we at, man. Most of those dudes are trying to come before the kids, but see, they were trying to come before the even good dudes back then. They had their chance to be productive. They went into the quick money. They rode the quick money to the end. They fucked up their entire life. They went out and did a whole bunch of time. Then they got out, and they still trying to come before the current kids within the environment right now. Then these people are talking about we should work together. No, man, like you don't work together with people like this. Like, do people like this have had their time, and it's time to let them go. But that's cool though, because we know what the track record looks like, man, and that's why I say, looking at it through the eyes of these two people, and then the kids that they're going to have whenever they decide to have them, because these dudes are going to last till like they go to another culture because we're going, okay, let me show you how women looked in the 80s. They looked good in the motherfucker. Let's go to Panama. Let's go to all these other places where, you know what I'm saying, they ain't too messed up yet. But you got to have your stuff straight so that way you can be able to move into another environment that's way different from this shit. If you cannot control the input, you can definitely control the outcome. If you know what the track record and the actual output is going to be, you can plan accordingly. You don't have to be personally involved with this shit to actually benefit from it. Yeah, that's it. It's really not that difficult and hard, but a lot of people want to try to make the same mistake better. They want to be on some new game plus shit. With all the same failures from the previous generation, you want to try all this bullshit all over again, man. It didn't work for them, and it ain't gonna work for you. Doesn't matter how much advanced knowledge that you have, the consequences are going to be the same. Every single time. They're going to be the same. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a lot of people who think that I'm full of shit. So what I'm gonna do is put the link in the chat and we're gonna see who comes up, who agrees or disagrees. But looking at these dudes, nah, man. They're not about to go through this shit. Not on the level or at the near number that we went through in our generation. Dude, that shit was damn near everybody. Everybody wanted to be this type of person. Everybody wanted to do that shit. Now we see that that shit has actually failed and it isn't viable right now. And people are switching up. The grand majority of those people are leaving town. I left graduation night. A lot of those people have already left town. Half of them have already left. Have already moved to like better areas of the United States. Now that they're not, having these custody restraints on them by their, more dominant figure, their mother in the household. A lot of these people have already moved on, man. A lot of these people have already signed up for school and college already. They're already getting started, man. Like they're not waiting. They're not taking that year off. I mean, that semester off. No, I mean, they're getting ready right now. And the problem is that most parents' failure, the environment around them has came up and the education is up there now to where they don't have to wait on their parents to give them this information. They're already socialized into it now. That's the great thing about it. The ignorance of the parents and the deliberateness of not giving them the information is no longer a viable source of holding most people back. Yeah, a lot of them know it now. It's crazy how many of them have figured it out now. Having them read off the names, these people already formed LLCs and they've been painting houses and they're just moving to another spot. Yeah, they already got it under control, man. Because right now, there isn't enough failure to go around. Everybody has to share the same amount of failure collectively. And as the years go on, it's going to be less and less failure that people are going to be able to try to turn into money or turn these dudes into further bitch ass dudes. There's going to be less and less of this shit going forward. And that's what people don't get, is that you need a level of people to consume to create these bad outcomes. To create these cultural demagogues, you need a groundswell of people that are confused and don't know the way and really isn't going to get there to create these cultural demagogues who celebrate failure, who are the product of failure. Like this stuff isn't going to be able to happen or work anymore. Like most of these dudes who depend on failed children to have a platform, that shit is going to get less and less and less as the time go on. A lot more people are going to be able to see and touch real money connected to tangibles. The moment they realize that this AMC shit is just AMC shit, it isn't a process, it's a moonshot. Again, you want to profit without understanding the process. And that type of stuff is truly obsolete at this point. So, if there's anybody coming up, I want to thank y'all for coming through on the Man Tomorrow. You guys have a really nice day out there. Peace.